Let me tell you something right now. Life will test you. It will push you to your limits, break your plans, and make you question yourself. You'll face moments when everything feels impossible, when you think you've failed, when the people around you doubt you, and even worse, when you doubt yourself. But here's the truth. The only thing that separates people who succeed from people who give up is the choice to keep moving forward. That's it. Not luck, not talent, not opportunity. Just the decision to keep going when everything in you screams to stop. Every great success story you've ever heard was built on setbacks, rejection, and struggle. The ones who made it, they weren't the smartest in the room, and they weren't the strongest. They just refused to quit. They kept showing up. They kept trying. They kept believing that everything is possible if they didn't give up. You don't have to figure out the whole path today. You don't need to have it all together. All you need is one small step, and then another, and another. Progress isn't about giant leaps. It's about relentless consistency. So when you feel stuck, when you feel like the world is against you, when you're ready to quit, remember this. Your breakthrough is usually right after your breaking point. Don't stop now. Don't settle. Don't give up, because everything you've ever dreamed of is still possible for you, if you have the courage to keep going. Success is not about who gets lucky, who has the right connections, or who was born into privilege. Success belongs to those who refuse to quit. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you seen people give up right before things could have worked out? How many times have you personally walked away from something because it felt too hard, too far, or too overwhelming? The difference between someone who makes it and someone who doesn't is not talent, not money, not timing. It's the simple decision to keep going. The power of refusal is what defines champions, leaders, dreamers, and visionaries. When you refuse to quit, you are declaring to the world that setbacks will not define you. Everyone faces failure. Everyone faces rejection. Everyone faces moments of doubt. But those who succeed are the ones who stand back up every time they get knocked down. Imagine a boxer in the ring. He doesn't win because he never gets hit. He wins because he refuses to stay down. Life works exactly the same way. Quitting guarantees you lose. Refusing to quit keeps the door open for victory. There will always be challenges along the path. You'll run into closed doors, missed opportunities, and mistakes that feel too big to recover from. But if you refuse to give up, every one of those challenges becomes a lesson. Every mistake becomes wisdom, and every closed door pushes you toward the right one. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about refusing to let failure stop you. The power of refusal is also about resilience. It's about training your mind to see obstacles not as reasons to quit, but as reasons to keep pushing. The truth is, persistence builds character. Every time you keep going, you strengthen the belief that you are capable of more. That belief becomes fuel. That fuel drives action, and repeated action over time creates results that once seemed impossible. Think about the people you admire, the inventors, the entrepreneurs, the athletes, the leaders. None of them had a smooth path. They failed, often publicly. They were doubted, even laughed at. But what set them apart was their refusal to quit. They didn't stop when things got hard. They didn't stop when people told them to. They didn't stop when progress seemed invisible. They kept showing up. And because they kept showing up, they turned the impossible into reality. You don't need to have everything figured out. You don't need to know exactly how it will all unfold. All you need is the refusal to quit. That refusal will carry you through the storms, the failures, the disappointments, and the fear. It will remind you that success is not about how many times you fall, but how many times you stand back up. Refuse to quit, and you give yourself permission to succeed. Refuse to quit, and you'll discover that the path you thought was impossible was only waiting for your persistence. Every person who has ever tried to achieve something meaningful has faced setbacks. It is impossible to chase a big dream without stumbling along the way. Yet the way you view those setbacks determines everything. Most people see failure as the end of the road, a sign that they weren't good enough, smart enough, or lucky enough. But the truth is completely different. Setbacks are not signs to stop. They are stepping stones that move you closer to where you are meant to be. Every mistake, every rejection, and every disappointment carries with it a lesson that you cannot learn in comfort or success. If you can shift your perspective and treat setbacks as fuel instead of barriers, you unlock a power that most people never tap into. When you encounter failure, You are forced to confront reality. You find out what doesn't work. You discover weaknesses in your strategy, flaws in your habits, and gaps in your thinking. Without setbacks, you would never know what needs to improve. Success doesn't happen because you get it right the first time. It happens because you're willing to get it wrong, learn, and try again. That's why every rejection is really redirection. It points you toward a new path, a better plan, or a stronger version of yourself. The person who avoids failure avoids growth. The person who embraces setbacks gains wisdom, resilience, and clarity. History is full of examples that prove this truth. The greatest inventors and entrepreneurs were rejected countless times. Athletes fail more often than they succeed. Leaders make mistakes that nearly cost them everything. But they don't quit. They take what went wrong, analyze it, and use it to rise higher. If they had stopped after the first rejection, the world would have missed their greatest contributions. What you see as a setback today could be the exact lesson you need to reach your breakthrough tomorrow. Setbacks also shape your mindset. Every time life pushes you down, you have a choice: to complain, give up, and stay stuck, or to rise stronger. Each time you rise, you build resilience, and resilience is the foundation of lasting success. Think of a seed planted in the soil. It cannot grow without first pushing through the darkness and breaking through the surface. Your setbacks are the soil. They are not burying you. They are preparing you to grow. When you learn to welcome setbacks as teachers, fear loses its grip on you. Failure stops being something to avoid and becomes something to embrace. You begin to understand that every rejection is just another step closer to success, that every closed door forces you to knock on a better one, and that every fall gives you the strength to climb higher. The people who win in life are not those who never face setbacks, but those who walk over them, using each one as a stepping stone toward their dreams. Big results rarely come from one giant leap. They are born out of small, consistent steps taken every single day. People often imagine success as a sudden breakthrough, an overnight transformation, or one big move that changes everything. But in reality, success is the result of steady, intentional action repeated again and again until the outcome appears inevitable. When you look at someone who has achieved something extraordinary, it may seem like they got there all at once, but behind the scenes are years of daily effort, countless small habits, and choices that compounded over time. The power of small steps is often underestimated because they don't feel dramatic. Waking up earlier by just 30 minutes doesn't seem life-changing. Writing one page a day looks insignificant compared to writing a book. Saving a small amount of money each week may not seem like the path to wealth. Yet over time, those tiny actions stack up and create massive results. What feels small in the moment becomes powerful through consistency. That is why small steps matter more than motivation or talent. They create momentum, and momentum creates transformation. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity, or the perfect plan before they begin. They believe they need a huge breakthrough to make progress, but perfection never comes, and waiting only leads to stagnation. The truth is, small steps are available to you right now. You don't have to know the entire path to start walking. All you need is the courage to take the next step in front of you. Each time you move forward, no matter how small, you gain clarity, strength, and progress. Consistency is also what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Anyone can take action once in a burst of motivation, but real change belongs to those who keep going long after the excitement fades. Discipline and persistence turn small steps into habits, and habits turn into lifestyle changes. Over time, those habits rewire your mind, reshape your actions, and transform your future. The compound effect of doing small things daily is far greater than any single burst of effort. Another important truth about small steps is that they build confidence. Every time you follow through, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. Each little win strengthens your belief that you can keep going. Confidence is not built in a single moment. It is built through evidence collected in small victories over time. Step by step, you begin to trust yourself more, and that self-trust becomes the foundation for bigger risks and bigger dreams. Think of success as climbing a mountain. You don't get to the top by jumping. You get there by placing one foot in front of the other. Some steps will feel exhausting, others will feel easy, and many will feel repetitive, but together, they lead you to the summit. The view from the top is not the result of one heroic effort. It is the reward for hundreds of small steps that seemed ordinary in the moment but extraordinary in their outcome. Your mindset is the lens through which you see the world, and that lens determines the reality you experience. Two people can go through the same struggle, face the same obstacle, and encounter the same rejection, yet their outcomes will be completely different because of how they choose to think. One person sees failure as the end and walks away. The other sees it as feedback, a chance to learn, and keeps going. The difference is not in their situation, but in their mindset. That is why your thoughts are not just thoughts. They are the foundation of your destiny. When you believe something is possible, your brain begins searching for ways to make it happen. You start noticing opportunities you would have ignored before. You become more willing to try, more open to risk, and more focused on solutions instead of problems. On the other hand, when your mindset is filled with doubt and negativity, you blind yourself to possibilities. You convince yourself it's not worth trying, and as a result, you stop before you even begin. In this way, your mindset shapes the actions you take, and your actions create the results you see. Every breakthrough in history began with someone daring to think differently. Believing that something was possible, even when the world laughed at them, was the first step toward achievement. Airplanes, electricity, space travel, technology. All of it started in the mind of someone who refused to accept the limits placed on them. If their mindset had been rooted in fear, none of those inventions would exist today. The same principle applies to your life. If you tell yourself you can't, you won't. If you tell yourself you can, you give yourself permission to discover how. The power of mindset is also seen in how you handle challenges. A fixed mindset sees difficulties as proof that success isn't meant for them. A growth mindset sees those same difficulties as opportunities to grow stronger. When you choose to believe that challenges are temporary and growth is possible, you take back control over your story. Instead of feeling defeated, you begin to feel empowered. What many people don't realize is that mindset is not something you're born with, it's something you build. You can train your mind to see possibilities instead of problems, to focus on progress instead of perfection, and to replace fear with courage. It starts with awareness of your inner dialogue. Every time you catch yourself saying, "I can't," replace it with, "I'll try." Every time you say, "This is too hard," replace it with, "This is teaching me something." Over time, these small shifts create a powerful new reality. Your thoughts have the power to shape your future because they influence every decision you make. If you believe the world is against you, you'll find evidence of it everywhere. If you believe opportunities are out there, you'll notice doors you never saw before. The reality you live is often the reality you choose to see. That is why protecting, training, and strengthening your mind, it is one of the most important things you can ever do for yourself. When you decide to believe that everything is possible, you create the space for miracles, growth, and success to happen. The most powerful truth about success is that your breakthrough often comes right after the moment you feel like giving up. It's that point where the weight feels unbearable, where every attempt seems to fail, and where the voice in your head whispers that it's easier to quit. That breaking point is where most people stop, and that's why most people never see what's waiting just beyond it. The breakthrough doesn't happen at the beginning of the journey when you're still excited. It doesn't even happen halfway through when progress feels steady. It happens at the very edge of your endurance, when you think you can't take one more step, but you choose to keep going anyway. Breaking points are not signs of weakness. They are signs that you are on the verge of growth. Think of them as the final test before the reward. Life pushes you to your limits to see if you are truly committed to your dream. The pressure, the frustration, and the setbacks are there to strip away your doubts, to strengthen your resolve, and to prepare you for the next level. Without that breaking point, you wouldn't be ready for the breakthrough. The struggle you're in right now is shaping you into the person capable of handling the success you're asking for. When you study the lives of people who achieved greatness, you'll find a common pattern. Their lowest moments were followed by their biggest victories. The athlete who thought their career was over came back stronger than ever. The entrepreneur who faced bankruptcy created a business that changed the world. The writer whose work was rejected dozens of times became a bestseller. Their breakthrough didn't come in spite of the breaking point, it came because of it. They leaned into the pain, used it as fuel, and refused to stop. The breaking point is also where your true character reveals itself. Anyone can keep going when things are easy, but the person who chooses to keep moving when everything feels impossible is the one who discovers their deepest strength. Endurance is not built in comfort, it is built in pressure. Resilience is not created in calm moments, it is created in storms. The breaking point is the place where ordinary people transform into extraordinary ones. It's important to remember that breakthroughs don't always look dramatic. Sometimes the shift is internal before it shows up externally. It could be a sudden realization that changes how you see everything. It could be the moment you find clarity in your purpose. It could be the quiet strength that rises in you after you thought you were finished. That inner shift is often the spark that ignites the outer transformation. So when you reach that point where you feel exhausted, defeated, and ready to quit, understand that you are closer than you think. The finish line might be just a few steps away, hidden from view. The door might be about to open, the opportunity about to appear, the result about to manifest. Don't stop at the breaking point. Push through it, because the very thing you've been waiting for is usually waiting on the other side. At the end of the day, the message is simple. Never give up, because everything is possible when you refuse to quit. When you see setbacks as stepping stones, when you take small, consistent steps, when you protect your mindset, and when you push through the breaking point. Your future is not defined by your struggles, but by the courage to keep moving forward no matter what. Thank you for giving me the time to share these words with you today. May they remind you that your dreams are still alive, your strength is still within you, and your best days are yet to come.